All right, Arlington, it's elimination finals time. Clutch here with the legend himself, been here all weekend long with Dave Walsh. And we got one more series to cast here this weekend, and it is the elimination finals between Optic Gaming and FaZe Clan. Two different roads, we can say, to get to this point. Optic having a long Saturday, entering the elimination bracket so early on and steamrolling everyone in their path to get to this point. The ball has been rolling downhill. They've gained all the momentum, and FaZe Clan coming off a hot loss. Dave, how are you feeling about these two teams entering the series, how they are?
Undoubtedly, like you said, momentum in Optic's side. FaZe, the only 3 games they've dropped all tournament was that last series. However, these guys are pros. They're gonna bounce right back. I think they match up very well against Optic. One thing I looked at in the previous series with Optic versus Space Station is Optic were taking all those one-on-ones. Anytime it was in an individual fight, it was going in Optic's favor, it felt like. I don't feel that's gonna be the same thing here on FaZe. Some of these boys are shooting hot. Yeah,
I think FaZe showed you enough life to convince you that this could be a great series. On board with Renegade, the man of the tournament so far for Optic Gaming. His stats have been unbelievable. The Slayer of the tournament awarded the medallion, but unfortunately he goes down without being able to find a single kill, and FaZe Clan start this with a little bit of momentum. Let's see if they can transition it to camo control.
And look at these teams posturing, a little bit slower play right away. Not everyone's just flying right out. And with that, FaZe is gonna grab the batteries. They're grabbing this camo. Penguin's trying to escort his teammate TriPPPeY. TriPPPeY does get away.
And TriPPPeY has been doing this all tournament long, where he has been on top of the power weapons and power-ups, and it has been everything for FaZe Clan. Right now with camo in his hands, he's got a couple of shots into a player in pipes, but it loses his teammates over at Ellie. So now he's in a tough position. When you're by yourself with camo, Dave, in this position, how difficult is it to sift through all the resources that he is?
There's just so much going on. You got to pick and choose what battle you're going to make the most impact. You know, went from pipe, ran into a Matt Piper over there. Couldn't really do much in that situation, so he decides to opt on back and make sure he keeps control of B. Of all those strongholds, B is going to be one of the most hotly contested ones that can be contested all across the map.
Big kill on the bound, and Suppress also takes down Formal. That clears out all of Elevator for FaZe Clan to try and take A. 3 go down for Optic Gaming, and now TriPPPeY with Shock Rifle in hand. That camo transitions to Shock. So although FaZe Clan lose a couple members, TriPPPeY does enough on the map to keep FaZe Clan's stability here early on.
You got a question about FaZe's pace there. FaZe were heavily outslaying to start this game off, but this game is neck and neck. In fact, you see both these strongholds, A and B, going in the hands of Optic.
Definitely a life TriPPPeY is going to want back. They were in a very promising position with 3 down, but Optic have broken the setup since. Now on board with Bound. As Optic take the lead here, A and B in control, Bound looks to approach C, and if they get a pick, Bound is going to fly into blue.
In such a good position right here. He's just waiting for them to make the first misstep. They can either go for camo or they can run the long haul, and then Bound can make his move. He knows that camo is snagged, but does not have the angle. Gonna get attacked by Suppressed, and that's gonna be a unfortunate missed flank there by Bound. I thought he had the right positioning, just not the right timing and execution.
2 camos in a row going to FaZe Clan. Pznguin getting caught out after he does a little bit of damage to 2 different players. Wants to be able to play his life a little bit better, but Optic does not let him. Unfortunately though, for Optic fans, it costs everyone on Optic's life to put themselves in a position to take Pznguin down, and that will be FaZe Clan once again retaking A. They have B. Optic will be able to rotate to C and take it off spawn, but it will be FaZe in control once again.
Yeah, the strongholds flip-flopping back and forth. However, that benefits FaZe in this position. They would much rather have Elevator and batteries over C.
There's a player above Falcated right now. He does make sure Bound goes down before transitioning to this player above him. He's weak. Great teamwork out of FaZe allows Falcated to keep A control. Unfortunately, in the meantime, the players over at B lost to the reinforcements to Optic, so it's Optic with a BC hold for now.
You gotta wonder where these members of FaZe spawn. They spawned Elevator as well. Okay, the gig is up. They know Elevator spawns took place, but looks like they're gonna hold this obscure set for a short time. A and C. FaZe cannot hold this for an extended period of time.
Here comes Renegade and Legend.
Divide and conquer too easily.
Here comes Renegade and Legend. The split spawns come in. Only 1 member of FaZe spawns with Falcated. It's a 2-on-2, and Renegade and Legend will win that a lot of times, and this time they paid off. They will transition A back into their favor, and Optic will begin to gain the lead again.
You know, Optic happy to trade that out. They're saying, hey, if you want to go try grab C right here, we will happily trade Elevator for C flat.
This is where it could get ugly, Dave. Renegade picks up the Shock. All 4 players of FaZe coming off respawn. They're stuck at Ellie, and I'm not sure they expect Renegade to be here with Shock, and Pznguin for sure doesn't. Has his head ripped off. Renegade with a Shroud, able to use it to block off some sight lines from the players on Ellie. Relocates to the catwalk here. Can't hit any of the headshots, but a lot of damage to FaZe Clan. Meanwhile, FaZe fighting for the one stronghold they have, points still being acquired for Optic Gaming.
Yeah, throughout that time, Optic not only overcommitting there in the elevator, just doing everything right. In the end, Renegade does trade out with TriPPPeY, but the damage has been done. Points going on the board for Optic throughout that whole engagement.
It's the third KMO in a row, though, for FaZe, doing a phenomenal job of getting this power up, something that they are going to need to do throughout this series if they want to stay in. Not only is it important to make sure the enemy team has it, but the buff that you can get from this, that's a helpful benefit you can use to your advantage.
Losing more now than ever, though, considering that two of his teammates just went down. Suppress now has to decide, does he try to be a hero or does he play the waiting game and wait for his teammates to spawn? Looks like he gets a nice little flank over into elevator, and this is going to be the breathing room that FaZe Clan needs.
Huge flank from Suppress. He gets behind enemy lines. He's able to find an easy kill with the stick, and that's going to be A being transitioned as well. AC hold, untraditional for FaZe Clan. They won't hold this for long, but this gives them an opportunity to maybe get some slays and conquer B as well.
Yeah, FaZe's ultimate goal in this situation would be to take B batteries while giving up the C stronghold. But the fact that they lost 2 members here, they're just going to have to sit back and wait. They're going to have to say that Optic can take B, Optic can likely take C, but somehow there must have been some great play taken over at C plat. Somehow FaZe were able to take control of C, or keep control of it, even though Suppressed was over at elevator, not a part of that engagement whatsoever.
Yeah, Suppressed over anchoring elevator, like you said. Falcated in the meantime, finding some kills, getting the reset on the C, buys FaZe a little bit more time to get out of this situation.
And one thing I always highlight in these games is it's a team game. If you take a look at that stat screen right now,
2-13 and 11 is crazy.
2-13 and 11 with a crazy stat line, like you said, Wes. He has more assists than his entire team combined and doing everything right. Generally, if you're having, let's say, a lower stat line, maybe lower in the kill department, you need to look at the score. Is your team winning? If so, keep doing exactly what you're doing. If your team is losing, you need to swap some things up, play a little more selfish.
Yeah, and all the players are very aware of what the stats are throughout the game. Everyone's pressing the back button throughout the death cam. If you're 2-13 and 12 and you're winning, that's a recipe for success. Right now, FaZe in the lead. Pznguin doing everything he can to make the game easier for Suppressed, TriPPPeY, and Falcated, having success so far. FaZe continuing as we cross this 100-point mark with the lead. This is a very impressive way for FaZe to bounce back from their elimination loss, or winner's bracket loss just moments ago.
Legend. I like this position. Taking control of top goal, top glass. He wants to eventually make his way into B. He did not want that trade. He would have loved to get that kill, stay alive in pipes, but at this high level of play, when you're uncertain, you're going in for that melee and making sure you're taking someone down with you.
In strongholds, if you have 2 of the strongholds controlled, you're fine with people trading out. Eventually, you're still scoring points. Unfortunately, Optic Gaming won the fight over towards elevators, so FaZe Clan have work to do. They only have B controlled, which is honestly the most difficult stronghold to have, but we've seen the success FaZe was able to have with an AC setup. Now Optic given that same opportunity here.
Yep, here's the exact same play. Optic are waiting for their opportunity to see if they can take over batteries. They're hoping that FaZe make their way over towards C, and that way they can keep the AB setup. But we're gonna have to see how this one all plays out. Great position there by Bound. Holding this control area, he can be a factor on either the A or the C stronghold, depending on FaZe makes the push.
This shock rifle was hand-delivered by Suppressed to Bound over at White. Now Bound using it to put TriPPPeY down is going to try and rotate towards these elevator players, you think. A player's bottom middle, no problem, as Bound takes him out as well. 2 go down for FaZe Clan. 1 player is over at elevator. It's a trade with the elevator player. Now Bound has his eyes set on B. Pressure into B. Bound handles pressure like diamonds and figures out a way to trade that out.
Yeah, trying to, once he saw that that A or the C pressure, trying to snag that B stronghold. Nobody else really jumping just yet. Actually, it's going to be Renegade. Gonna grab B, so there's the ultimate trade that Optic wanted in the end. They trade one of their strongholds, and they get the AB setup.
4th camo of the game, it's going to TriPPPeY as well. FaZe Clan continuing to dominate the power-up story. Optic has not had a single camouflage throughout this game, but they do have the lead. What can these camos amount to? So far, it hasn't been much, but eventually you have to think you play with fire, you get burned if you're Optic Gaming.
And interesting right there by Bound. Not sure if he was receiving fire from somewhere else, but I thought that he was full shield and just going to go in for the 50-50 contest. Sometimes you got to take those fights in battery.
It's a trip cap for FaZe Clan here, starting to climb up this deficit. Will be erased with just 1 more round of slays. Optic Gaming slowing the game down, as you can see. TriPPPeY trying to let the game come to him. Bound is able to get into B, and all this information and giving these Optic players pushing along. One's going to check. It's Formal taking down TriPPPeY, and now C and B in the hold of Optic.
Yep, and looking like a player lag out right there.
Okay.
So we will be getting out of the lobby here momentarily. We'll let the TOs decide what the score was at that time being, but that was a huge moment in time for FaZe as they started to get back in that game.
Yeah, what the
trip cap.
That's the issue, is what the score was or what was the score going to be after a trip cap from FaZe. How long could they have held it if no technical issues happen? Is going to be a question that's lingering in the back of FaZe Clan team and the fans' minds, as that game was neck and neck just about every step of the way. And something I pointed out along the way, Dave, is the camo control for FaZe was perfect. They might not have gotten anything or too much done with it. There wasn't any flashy big-time plays or kills done with these camouflages, but I mean, at the very worst, you're not dealing with the other team having it, which I think is a win in of itself.
Yeah, at some point it's just removing it from their hands. I think Shurzy covered it very well in the analyst desk up there, saying, you know, one, you give your team the benefit of being able to do something with that, but secondly, the other team just doesn't have it.
Yeah.
And them not being able to get a snipe, them not being able to get a camo, changes everything.
We're getting an update here as we take a look at the gameplay. And we're getting a live reel of the situations that were occurring in the game as the issue was flagged. And it looks like it's going to be a little bit earlier on. This is where we'll be going back to now with the new lobby. The issue was actually flagged a little bit earlier than the trip cap, and in all honesty, Optic still have control. We saw what was able to transpire after this. TriPPPeY, of course, having this camo, using it to transfer over B. But we're gonna go a little bit further back, which honestly, since we talked about it, Dave, it's at least a few more points that teams are gonna have to get in order to end this game one. So there's a more of a room for error. There's a little bit further of a distance that these players are gonna have to sprint here in this rematch.
A little more room, but yeah, end of the day, it's going to be decided by a few important battles to kick this one off. So we're going to have to see how both these teams decide to play it off the start. But yeah, that's, like you said, got to be incredibly frustrating for FaZe there. They had a nice start, or sorry, a nice finish there as they were going into that near trip cap scenario. And to have that pulled away, they just got to bounce back.
You think you'd rather be in FaZe's shoes in that moment rather than Optic's shoes? Technically, Optic does have the lead. With how the game was going.
With how the game is going, yeah. I mean, if you're getting to, you know, a low double-digit amount of points away and you have a trip cap, I would take the trip cap over the short lead, because any single slays there that can go for the trip cap team can extend that so far. And then worst case, a lot of times they're going to stop the bleeding somehow. And if you even just want to play it passively, you can still end with that dub cap and basically the tie or the positional advantage.
Great news, Green Wall. Great news, fans of Arlington and everybody watching on Twitch. The lobby is being created, and we will get into the action here shortly. If the Green Wall remains as quiet as you guys have been this morning, Optic might not make it to a grand final, so I want to hear you guys get loud. And if you're rooting for FaZe, they're going to need you, because I just pissed a whole lot of fans off that are wearing green in this crowd.
No,
I like to poke all the bears.
It's the calm before the storm. You know, everyone here is just champing at the bit. They're ready to see these teams get back into it and battling it out. But like you said, it's going to be around a 30-point lead here for FaZe.
142 to 172.
For Optic, 30-point lead for Optic going into this replay.
It's a healthy lead, but nothing to really shy over in strongholds.
It shouldn't. It can be a determining factor, but this isn't a insurmountable lead at some point.
Yeah, if you're FaZe, you don't feel like there's a massive weight going into this game, similar to what we witnessed earlier with the SSG and the oddball. When you're down like 50 points in oddball, it's like, would you rather go to round 3? Maybe.
The only thing this does change maybe slightly for FaZe is that they may get a little riskier if they get that dub cap and try to go for the triple cap.
Because they have more room to make up.
They have to make up with that little bit more room. They might say, hey, like, feel free to press our advantage if we have it here, but same time, it's still, they can close that gap, that 30-point lead with a dub cap setup at the start of the game.
All right, Bound's got his hand warmers in. Locked, loaded, lobby setting up. I see one player missing. I'm not going to call him out, though. There he is. All players are in the lobby. Let's hit that play button. Lottie, can you press that play button? I know you don't like to do that. She's over there talking.
We will get this started ASAP though, but man,
There we go.
a little bit of icing there for some of these players. Let's see them all bounce back. You see fist bumps being shared across the stage. We're gonna be jumping back into here on Recharge Strongholds. It's a 30-point lead here for Optic Gaming. FaZe has the work cut out for them. This first game can be a massive momentum shift for either of these teams to go into the series.
As we jump into this remake, I want to go straight into an Optic Gaming listen-in, and let's see the vibes on Optic Gaming as they have a 30-point lead. How do they sound coming out of this remake and going in to this game one of an elimination finals?
But yeah, kicking it right off the start. Here we go, Bound playing passive towards C, gonna take towards control. Last time we saw Bound and Renegade dropping early into the fight. Trying to make it way towards elevator, realizing that it's not going to be successful. TriPPPeY gonna get the first blood, taking out Lqgend.
Bound has
Gonna be a
camo right
camo,
here.
not burned. It's a battle for that camo. Bound, the only one alive at the bomb center of that pit. TriPPPeY, the only one alive for FaZe. And that's going to be some points early here on the board for Optic.
Let's get into that Optic Gaming listen and see what Bound can do with this camouflage.
Watch out, bottom mid.
You gone?
Bottom mid, watch out.
Yo, back C,
Don't shoot him, Sax. Michael bottom mid, Michael bottom mid.
one place.
Michael bottom mid.
Yeah, bottom middle.
Nice.
Don't show face, man. Don't show face.
Bottom mid, top glass. Bottom mid, jump on.
Watch out.
Just a minute.
He's gonna have systems going C plant. Yo, bottom B on one. Oh my god, he's
Long.
Long.
Red purple.
Yeah, just don't show face, man. You're gonna hear right
One's
there.
gonna be long.
God's playing tower, two of us
Yo,
are now.
pan. Yeah, play safe, man.
There's Sax and Stacks. Stacks.
Trying to play C here.
Make no check. I'm gonna Sax again, Falcated. He's going C.
P5 one shot.
One's pipe.
Nice, see that.
Let's even catch him. He's going.
Watch out, pipe door. Watch out, back door.
We can't stop that. Good push up. Are we gonna get hit off this? Camo's coming now, guys.
Needles at bottom tower side. Needles at bottom tower. Okay, slow down. Okay, it's okay. Slow down right here, okay? They're gonna push B. They're gonna go B. Okay, it's okay. Hang on. One stop A, down. Need a handful.
We saw T, man. Play one forever.
He's coming.
Play one forever.
I'm looking at bound. Back, drop.
I'm in here, man.
Top right glass.
Absolute all two.
Hold
that. Look your rate.
I'm looking long.
Shouldn't leave much, guys. 5 seconds.
It's okay. Let's give me C.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Just like that, Optic close out that first game. You heard some great calls there, especially from Lunchbox and crew, talking about, hey, give up that one. They're talking about that A stronghold being converted. So picking and choosing their battles wisely. They're not just going to contest a hill every single time. They're making sure they're taking high percentage plays in battles.
Yeah, one of the big things I heard during the listening was Bound stuck by himself, last guy alive. He's in pipes. Renegade says to him, just play your one, like forever. Play your one. Just make sure whatever happens, you get yours. And Bound, that tells Bound immediately he doesn't have to like take some fight or feel pressed about the guy in B getting the stronghold. Like, he just has to let a favorable fight come to him rather than taking an unfavorable fight, pushing out pipe doors, trying to fight the guy top alley, somewhere where he's going to be at a disadvantage. That was phenomenal comms, and Optic Gaming looked and felt locked in that entire remake. They were in control just about the entire time. There was that one moment where they had to slow it down, but it was all green wall.
Yeah, when you're at this highest level of play, you kind of have the exact opposite comms to ranked level of play. In ranked comms, you're like, where's my help? What's going on? Get involved. Help is the objective. Whereas at the highest level of play of these teams, they all want to be selfless players. They know the team objective at hand, and they're reminding each other, hey, here's a situation that I need you to play selfish. Your best play for this team, best way to reward us, is for you to get a kill and for you to stay alive.
A phenomenal way to kick off this elimination finals for Optic Gaming, especially to show how strong they looked. Kick it right off the break. This 30-point lead that they played with this remake jumps into about a 70, 80-point lead, and then all of a sudden, the room for error for FaZe is just too much, right? That we talked about it, like all of a sudden now Bound is able to play as ones forever because they're up by so much that it's going to take a lot more than just you losing one favorable fight that you take for us to lose this game.
Yeah, when FaZe got put in that position where they're down by 70 or 80 points at the end, it's like they have to not only get every kill on Optic, they can't have one mistake or one misstep, because the moment that 3 of them go down, Optic are going to be able to hold a 2-cap setup to close out the game.
All right, as we take a look at the series layout, Recharge Strongholds, that's one and done from Optic. They'll take a 1-0 lead here in the elimination finals. It's going to be Solitude Slayer as game 2. And if you're looking at FaZe, let's take some positives away from game 1, even before the remake. They were getting every single camouflage, something that will benefit them heavily if they're able to replicate that same strategy. Even though they didn't have success in Strongholds, I feel like in a Slayer, you're kind of able to do your own thing a little bit more, and why is that, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, on Slayer, they're going to be able to play without the objective forcing them out at any single time. So they're going to be able to spend that next 30 seconds or the previous 30 seconds just saying, hey, where do I want to be? What's the best way to set myself and this team up to get this next power-up? So expect them to be able to just play a little bit slower, but also, like I said, it's their choice of how quick they want to play. They don't have time ticking against them.
Okay, so we've had a bumpy start. We've had a bumpy start to this elimination finals, but let's pick up the energy in here. This series matters so much to both these two teams. Game 2's kicking off. Formal on board. The battle for camo underway. Lqgend's going to be the first player to drop, and as Formal knows that he's going to get pushed, tries to meet TriPPPeY over towards the U-turn, but unfortunately he's going to have repulse and win that one-on-one, and this is going to be FaZe Clan's opportunity to gain early map control with TriPPPeY going off.
And nobody falls in the back. TriPPPeY almost turning that fight against Lqgend, but he sets up his teammate Pznguin to get the camo and get the finish. But that camo wasn't picked up until around the 11:25 mark. Both these teams realizing you can't just jump up and grab that unless you have control of the map.
Yeah, it's not worth losing map control at all. Unfortunately, Pznguin trying to choose the right target there, chooses wrong, and because of it, Optic Gaming kind of spread out since they had spawned over towards Snipe, able to take down Pznguin. That camo gets removed from the map. The removal of FaZe Clan's lead is also the case. It's an 8-8 score line, but you had to feel like FaZe could have benefited far more from the map control that they once just had.
Yeah, I mean, that scoreline's not what you want to see if you're a FaZe fan. They had a 3-kill lead, they had camo, they had shock rifle, and all of a sudden, that's been diminished, just a 1-kill lead. And this game's also just halted. I don't think the game halting is actually a bad thing here for FaZe.
Not with shock in hand.
Not with shock in hand, not with how quick and having players like Bound and Renegade to play in those ridiculously quick environments. But yeah, you want to just slow it down, get your own step, and see what picks you can have.
The game is slowed for now, but in 10 seconds, camo will be coming up and Optic's hand will be forced. There will be a battle in the middle of this map. Can Falcated make a play with the shock rifle? If he can find a pick and open up the floodgates, this could be where FaZe kind of open up the map.
Also, I'm just a little surprised seeing all this action taking place over at Yard and over at Poster Stairs. You gotta wonder, it feels like a couple other members of FaZe who are near Snipe side either have been losing that engagement on Poster Stairs or not given the support they need across the map. That was just a brilliant breakdown by Optic. Being on the back foot, having inferior positions, and breaking breaking across the center of the map to get that camo.
Still a tight game, but for how long? Lqgend with camo on the back BR spots a ton of players, and look at FaZe all stuck back U-turn. How do they trade out of this successfully? So far, they haven't been able to. It's a 2-to-1 exchange in the members of Optic, and they're up 15-14 now. Lqgend gonna back down, play his life. If he can get his shield, maybe he can find another kill. Does get another kill, but there's more FaZe clan members to deal with, and eventually, Optic only come out on top by 2.
I'll take that. If you're in Optic's shoes, no longer than a minute ago, they were on the back foot, worse spots, and they got FaZe into a spawn trap and now have this 3-kill lead. This game's moving quite a bit slower compared to game 1, though, Wes.
I was going to say, how to suppress live there. Yeah, this game's going to start to pick up the pace very quickly here, as the middle of the map isn't really being determined by either. Once it is established by one, the others will try to slow it down. But for right now, there's a massive battle for map control, and that's a huge pick by Pznguin as he tries to push into dip after finding that kill. Knows that there's several members of Optic in blue, but there is still one to snipe. A beautiful nade as he predicts Lqgend forced to back up towards blue because the pressure from FaZe was coming from the front, and now they can isolate these players to snipe as well.
Yeah, Pznguin fully divided this roster. They're stuck over at Market, they're stuck over at Snipe, and he's right in between. He can pick and choose which fight he wants to join, and he's joining both.
And honestly,
both those picks, one over on Renegade and one over on Lqgend.
Somehow Renegade gets a trade with a shock beat down, death grenade right there, and that slows down the tempo for FaZe just a little bit. One more player from FaZe isn't there. And now Optic Gaming, still on the ropes a little bit, have less pressure, but here comes Suppress. The name of the game is, can you get in their face quick enough to split the spawns, and Suppress gets there. Wow. But a trade is unbelievable there.
Such great movement from Bound, making such a difficult kill, and that's exactly what Bound wanted out of that situation. He wanted just even a melee. The fact that he was able to get a full trade there, getting the 3 shots and the melee is more than enough. One other point I'd like to make here is Pznguin. We talked about how he was playing a different role last game. He just had only a few slays, a ton of assists. This game, he is the kill leader here for FaZe Clan in this 1-kill game.
This FaZe Clan, anybody that's in position to pick up the kills will do so. 12, 3, and 7 as Pznguin gets taken down. Bound with another trade will make this a 1-kill game once again. TriPPPeY did have the camo, but that's long gone at this point as Lqgend tries to make some space over towards LR, but the teamwork from FaZe will take down Lqgend and give them a 3-kill lead once again.
Just those bait switches right there. Was looking for that quick finish over at LR, and Pznguin just swooping in.
This is such a big moment right now. All of Optic is stuck in blue. This is a 4-kill game. This could go to an 8-kill game very quickly if Optic are not careful. Bound gonna try to be the first player to make his way into yard. You see Formal and Renegade now trying to create some kind of space here. FaZe are trying to deny this space. Look how hard they want to control yard. They know Optic want this yard control, and they are not gonna get yard control. It is now up to 7 kills for FaZe Clan.
That was such an incredible push by Suppressed. They knew Pznguin wasn't gonna be able to charge that nade, but Suppressed flew right into yard, getting that finish. That mixed aggressiveness that you had here with the FaZe roster is paying off.
Trapped in blue, still Optic on respawn. 8 kills separate the two now. FaZe Clan look to tie this series up and will do so if they can get 10 more kills here in game 2.
A lot of battling going on over at the loop. Falcated playing his own life though. We've seen some of these situations before. One of my critiques earlier of watching SSG play is they would always be focused on the one point of action. Instead, I love that play from Falcated. It says, I can't be a factor in this fight. Let me see if someone else is sneaking on by over here. Gets the camo and can now be a greater effect in this battle.
This is a wild situation right now. It's a 5-kill game. Falcated trying to get involved, but he's losing teammates left, right, and center. All of Optic Gaming is spread out across the map, and all of Optic Gaming is picking up kills. Falcated still can't find a kill until he finally is able to finish off Lqgend, but at what cost? A 4-kill game now for FaZe Clan. Still with the game in their control, but Optic's map control right now makes this very difficult for him to sift through.
Yeah, Falcated loved this. Doesn't find the player on the perimeter. Instead, goes right towards the player at Snipe. Still a 4-kill game, and you're hoping maybe for a bit more of a comfort zone there if you're a FaZe fan. But the pressure isn't stopping. I like this play from Suppressed. Both teams kind of have a little flank of their own. Renegade and Suppressed get behind enemy lines. Renegade's flank paying off.
That's a big kill though. Being able to finish off Renegade, even if he gets a double, it just gets you a little bit closer to 50. Still a 4-kill game, but now look, this is where Optic were just moments ago. They are stuck in blue. They're gonna try this yard push. Does Bound have the same level of reinforcements?
He does not. And the fact that you see someone poking through that door has to tell you that they have backup right behind them.
Yeah,
no
they're
one's
coming.
just peeking into yard without support.
Yeah, and that's the big difference right now is FaZe were able to hold that push and deny the map control of the space that Optic were trying to get in that situation. When Optic were in that situation, Bound did not have the reinforcements. However, though, Formal in a 4-kill game has a shock rifle. The game turns into a stalemate. Camo will be coming up in 18 seconds, and Formal, if he can find a pick, would be massive.
Oh my God.
That's 2.
That push by FaZe, they do get a trade out, but still
That's
damage
3.
been done. It's now a 1-kill game here for FaZe. They should be able to find a trade here, but the only saving grace that Optic has this moment is they do have that shock rifle. But these members of FaZe, they can hide around tight corridors. They'd be happy. No one wants to charge suppress, even though they have an advantage.
FaZe Clan answer back. FaZe Clan collapse on back U-turn and are able to get that 50th kill. I thought it got scary when Formal hit that double with the chain damage paired with Renegade's damage, and then all of a sudden slid into yard and got the third. I was like, oh no, but that one grenade that honestly killed the guy that was falling from yard, no shield, that trade is everything to give you what it should be a 48-47 game rather than a 49-46 game.
But I love the mixed aggressiveness from FaZe. Some teams, when they get in that position, they say, the other team has snipe or they have shock rifle, turtle up for a little bit. And they just turtle and they never make a move from there. The correct play there is to turtle up for a bit and then you make an aggressive push in one of the directions where the other team isn't perfectly set up for that.
Commit to something, right? Like,
Gotta make a move.
So often do we see the team that sits back often is the team that gets punished the hardest and the team that slips up and loses the lead. But FaZe Clan, we talked honestly at the start of the broadcast, we talked about this FaZe Clan roster and how strong they were at Slayers. Slayers keep them in this series and bring them back to life here in the elimination bracket. Slayers tie this one up, and everybody knows game 5's end or best of 5's always end in a Slayer. And wouldn't it be something if FaZe Clan can just figure out a way to get one of these objectives done and find themselves on Aquarius, and they know that they have what it takes to win these Slayers against a team like Optic Gaming. We're talking Oddball Live Fire is game 3, and Assault Fortress is going to be game 4. So which of these two can FaZe Clan figure out a way to manifest some success is the big question. What we've seen from Optic, let's talk about game 3. Let's focus on the here and now. What we've seen from Optic Gaming on Oddball and on Live Fire has been unbelievably impressive, I feel like, all tournament long. So this has got to be a strength for them. How do you feel about FaZe Clan's chances going into this map?
It's gonna be tough. I mean, there's so many times where you see an individual on Optic, and it feels like they can turn any of those positions into a power position. Like Tower, they're over at Tower, and it can take so long just to flush out someone like Renegade, who could be jumping up around A in the boxes, going over towards back mud.
You give these guys a pillar, and all of a sudden they're unkillable.
But even same, when you look over towards back green or something like that, someone like Lqgend can stay alive for so long and buy time. And so there's different pockets here where members of Optic can just really shine. On the flip side, though, you look over at FaZe. I think the most impressive clip we've had all weekend is TriPPPeY.
By far.
That
clip of the weekend
spree.
for sure. The fact that he pulls out the snipe as the guy's no shield just for bonus points. Oh yeah, that was awesome. That's something I would do, and then I would get yelled at for putting my snipe out as I missed that shot, and 2 one-shot guys just live. But TriPPPeY, obviously we've seen the success he's had. The S7 is obviously going to be an extremely vital piece to the puzzle when trying to have success. And as we look at the stats for ball carriers, it's, you know what, the same 2 guys that we showed with the Stronghold stats.
You know, always picking up that OBJ. But one thing that's surprising here is Lqgend, 40% of the team's ball time. Doing so much OBJ work here. I mean, it's tough to choose who is going to be the OBJ player, or who's going to do a majority of it on that roster. I don't know why I'm more surprised that it is Lqgend.
I think it's a player that plays as fast as possible and then is usually progressed on the map, especially if you're playing with the likes of Renegade and Bound. They're off usually doing side quests on the map, but I mean, they go on some exciting side quests, don't get me wrong. But it's probably like, yes, somebody probably needs to rotate towards the ball as that's going on.
Now, the benefit and the downside of this is, whereas you look at Falcated, 27%, that's maybe arguing if the rest of his team is on a similar amount, they're almost all doing an equal amount for this FaZe roster.
That's ideal.
Now, the benefit and the downside here for someone like Lqgend and Optic is if Legend's getting that ball, he is going to be well practiced and knowing exactly where he needs to be rotating and prepared to make those moves. However,
Absolutely.
if Lqgend is not in control of the ball, they're gonna have to rely a lot on Lunchbox and crew to clear that path and know exactly where they do want to move that. But you know, you have those pluses and negatives when you have so much time indexed on one player.
And being able to read the skill set and being able to read that in real time before you're a second late, because if you're a second late in Infinite, somebody's already in your face.
Yeah,
like,
it's too late. You have to be making the rotation before it even is the rotation. You almost have to be faking that rotation, saying, hey, I'm going to start going towards tower. All right, we're actually going towards tower now.
Right, and exactly. You have to lean towards that. But being able to, like, the skill set behind being able to read those situations just based off your screen, obviously, but the comms are more important, because a lot of the time, nothing's happening on your screen as the ball carrier. Nothing, you're listening and you're getting info that 3 are going this way and like so-and-so's been spotted going in this direction. So you're having to process all of this information and make sure that it's your responsibility that this ball doesn't end up, if we are to go down, that this ball ends up in a contestable spot rather than you just gave them a full setup that anything positive we just had and had achieved is immediately removed and honestly overcome on the other side.
We will have to see which one plays out here. Is it going to be Lqgend grabbing most of this ball time here for the Optic roster? Are FaZe going to be stepping up here in game number 3, going to try to get their first lead in this series?
And I know that this has been what feels like a long series already with what's taken place, but when I looked at the map layouts and I saw Strongholds Recharge, and then I saw Solitude Slayer. I said 2 pretty fast games. 2 games that you could find yourself down 2-0 very quickly, or you feel like you haven't played a lot of Halo in order to determine your elimination finals. Finally, here in Game 3, Oddball is going to make sure that you felt like you played some Halo.
Game 3 and Game 4. A Fortress Bomb, that's going to be taking a minute.
Yeah, you
Suppressed
you
also
will be
pushing towards pillar sides, not seeing a single player. I like this play from Suppressed. Rather than take the long flank, he's like, I'm just going to join right back in the fight. We don't have to worry about any flankers, and we also have to know we're fighting against an even amount of opponents.
And it pays off. He forces Renegade to drop out of middle with that sniper. Renegade still has that sniper. Renegade actually then
he's so
replaces
tough
himself.
to kill here. He's got the repulse.
Yeah, when you get repulse and snipe, Renegade's so good at whatever he does at the start of games to end up in this situation so often. Doesn't hit that shot onto the cam. It doesn't matter, as all 4 players for FaZe will go down. It will be a member of Optic, not only with camo, but one of them has snipe and one of them has the ball. This is a perfect start for Optic Gaming.
Yep, and it's going to be formal with the ball this time. Setting up his team. See if he's going to make a rotation or if he's going to play this in the back of tower if he receives too much pressure. Looks like he's going to be dropping the ball and slaying.
How awesome is it right now that just two members of Optic Gaming are forcing all of FaZe Clan to have to rotate towards house. Meanwhile, the ball is cuts. Like, you would think that you could maybe leave these guys behind house, but Optic Gaming are too strong. They will figure out a way to flank you. Renegade now, as his teammates have gone down, it's his time to shine.
Wow.
Love this play by him. He leaves that player, cuts, gets the ball all the way to the tower, and this is an objective, efficient play out of Renegade, who is not known for this special occasion, but this is an awesome way of showing that you can adapt and evolve as a player, because that play just got them another 20 seconds.
Yeah, Optic throwing all our talking points out the window. Every single person picking up this ball, putting time on the board. Every single person except for Lqgend.
Surely he'll get some points eventually, but I mean, Renegade's still yet to die. Just 2 kills to his name, but his presence alone is a problem. TriPPPeY can't get the last shot off as the body head with the snipe connects. Another body from Renegade. Another toe shot, we'll call it, but the job gets done. FaZe Clan get fully put on a reset, and it's a 40-point lead already.
40-point, and Renegade still holding on to all this ammo. He eventually dives with that very first sniper of the game and only gives up 1 bullet.
A recipe for disaster if your FaZe Clan is letting Renegade live for that long with the snipe. The damage done is going to be difficult here in round 1 to overcome. Lqgend trying to play his life back pillars. He gets taken down. It feels like FaZe Clan have finally got some footing here in this first round, but what can they do with it? They still have reinforcements. Renegade is already off spawn in front towers. Such a fast player in order to get into that situation. Camo just went into the hands of Formal. No, Camo actually fell up in front. Formal not able to find that camo just yet, and as FaZe Clan start to win the fights over here, maybe they will be able to get this camo. Maybe they will be able to get a ball as well.
Okay, now it's FaZe's turn. They have the camo.
Ooh.
They have ball control.
Well, they did.
I love that play from Falcated up until the point he got taken out. I love the point that he was such a factor in fighting for that camo and then just going straight for the ball pickup to make it as efficient as possible.
TriPPPeY finds one, and camo snipe You need more than one, in my opinion, to stop or come back in this game. And right now, being top middle, he gets caught out immediately. A good job by Optic to eliminate him, even though he caught the first player off guard.
Wow.
Pznguin gets his head ripped off. Jesus Christ, Formal, what was that shot? The ball is being rotated, however, so even though 3 members of FaZe go down, they will have to slay again because of the rotation of this ball. It's beautiful by FaZe Clan.
But here's the thing is, Optic are aware of the situation. They know there's got to be somebody flicking through. Somehow they don't spot out Suppress. They eventually get the pick on him. But throughout this entire time, FaZe only had Sniper for that short little bit with Camel, getting that first pick. The rest of the time, they've been scrapping up time with this ball. Even if Optic are able to secure a few of these kills, they aren't in the perfect position to grab this ball. We don't even know exactly where the FaZe Clan spawns will be. I'm guessing it's going to be Big Door.
They're going to spawn. They should be spawning back house right now, and they will. And although FaZe Clan made this a 20-point game, it's going to be another 40-point game by the time FaZe Clan are able to formulate some kind of a push. Now, Quantum Snipe in the hands of Formal, and in all honesty, that's the first shot I feel like we've seen Formal miss with this snipe. You do not want to test, and TriPPPeY does just that, and doesn't have to pay for it this time around. He is getting shot in the back. One player overextending towards green is Suppressed, and Formal now stuck in really a difficult situation to deal with. FaZe Clan break the setup, but like I said, back to 40 points goes the score.
Yeah, that was just the benefit that Optic had in that situation where they were able to hold that ball so far away. We get them spawning all the way across the map, especially when you have something like Snipe. You can watch one whole lane of the map. The time is going to be racked up. Can FaZe answer? Can they close this gap a little bit? I mean, 35 points is almost a full setup time. So you almost need 2 full sets for FaZe to really get back in this game.
Yeah, but the issue is Camo just came up and the fights were lost by FaZe Clan. Suppressed and TriPPPeY both get taken down on the Camo side of the map, so they do play the ball, but with this camouflage that and multiple deaths going down for FaZe Clan, that ball gets immediately brought right back to tower.
And let's be real too, play balls are not all equal. If you do a play ball at the incorrect time, or you do a play ball and your team loses full control and no one's really there to guard that new play ball, they can just take that ball right back to tower and those positions.
100%.
So I did feel like there wasn't really an effective play ball from the FaZe side. We're at the 94-point mark. I don't see anyone from FaZe who can really stop this. That's going to be round 1 going in favor of Optic.
And in all honesty, a dominant round from Optic Gaming here in round 1. We said that they've been looking great on live fire. They just showed you that they are great at live fire no matter what the mode is, and this is where FaZe Clan need to find some momentum here. Bound taking his time, waiting for the grenades. Such a patient play. Knows they're coming in. Unfortunately, the second one is going to hit him no matter how patient he was. And at that
I like that play though. Most people look at that garage door, big door, and they say, nobody there? Okay, don't got to worry about it over here. And then all in 1 second, you have Bound flying all the way towards that command door BR and able just to lay down shots in someone at pillars.
Yeah, how often does that work out? Probably pretty often. When the second you lack or you're given the information no one's there, you kind of overextend and find yourself out in the open. So that's what Bound was playing for. Unfortunately, it didn't work out this time around. Somehow, like the start of every live fire game, Renegade has Snipe top tower. It's almost like he spawns here with it at this point. The battle for Camo is definitely the focus of Renegade for now as he approaches this cut. It's a dangerous place to be with Snipe, but he lands a body, and that's going to back up that one member of FaZe Clan in a 2-on-2 situation. He's going to choose to go top mid. He's going to choose to rip faces.
Yeah, just playing this so good. I didn't see what ended up happening with that Camo. Can't tell if someone from Optic grabbed it or if it ended up being burned off some of those trades taking place at scoreboard. But ball time being racked up here for Optic, but they have to get these kills. One dangerous part about this ball over at scoreboard or house is there's no real good way to play ball here. You have to lay out or the other team gets that setup.
Renegade can't hit the no-scope, and Falcated able to finally take him down. Snipe is going to be out, however. This setup only lasts for 14 seconds for Optic, though, so a good job by FaZe to break it fairly immediately. Unfortunately, you don't get any of the S7 to play around. Not too much damage done here in round 2, and FaZe Clan will have control as 2 members are coming off respawn. How do they play this inside of the house setup, though, is the big question. We didn't see much of this at all in the first round.
Yeah, Falcated been staying alive for a long time there. Unfortunately, does a premature reload, ain't able to get that finish there. Formal relaxing at the window with the ball.
I was going to say, adjusting the volume.
I was just like, something wrong, but no,
yeah,
he doesn't have time to take a hand off the wheel.
My heart sank as I thought something was going on. Just Formal's volume. You know, I kind of want a little bit more, says Formal. 28 points now and still climbing. Renegade forced to quantum back towards green. He's gonna have assistance from another player, but that leaves Formal by himself with the odd ball. I guess it did get rotated towards Big Door here, so that's massive to be able to play that ball if they are to lose this setup. But Falcated going down there tells me that Optic are going to be able to hold this setup potentially. TriPPPeY and Suppress both getting back down from Renegade. He is everywhere on the map with that quantum. A little bit of an overchow, but you'll take the damage done from Renegade here in that way.
Yeah, I mean, he's feeling himself too. He just figured if they're fighting one of my teammates, I will also get involved in this engagement. But it's just such a challenging kill to kill someone like Renegade. He makes it so difficult, and he's not afraid to re-chow at times to get that extra damage.
You never know.
Toes.
You never know when he's re-chowing you. You never know when he's relocating. It's such a difficult player to try and flush out of situations, especially when he's given the quantum translocator. So good luck if you're FaZe playing. Luck is something that they're going to need. They're able to take down Lqgend. That's a good start to maybe a potential comeback here. It was a 40-point lead, but here come FaZe Clan. The 2 snipers in a row getting taken down, so TriPPPeY opting not to go for that snipe, but able to win the battle against both of them there. That's massive for FaZe Clan as they still attempt to hold this setup, but can Pznguin get near his ball carrier? Multiple players of Optic are in-house, and they're coming for that ball.
Yeah, I mean, getting close to the ball carrier is important, without doubt. But the bigger story here on this one for FaZe is they're just getting outslayed too heavy to be able to compete with the Optic here on this game. You look at a couple of these score lines, Pznguin suppressed, -7, -9. They're just getting outslayed too heavy to make that up in objective efficiency. At some point, you have to get past a critical mass of kills to be able to go toe-to-toe with a squad like Optic.
Yeah, and when you think of a player like Suppress, it's traditionally the main slayer for this squad, so having maybe not his best game 3 so far, but there's a lot of time left potentially. The ball is going to get played. I believe, no, it just drops down back tower. It's actually a good no play ball. That kind of worked out better. Yeah, because they were on top of that play ball. Because it stays back tower, it's going to be a couple of seconds denied from Optic Gaming, but you still have Formal with Snipe to deal with. And in all honesty, if you don't break this setup right now on this push, you're going to have one more, or game 3 goes to Optic.
Yeah, and Optic just letting FaZe make their push, and FaZe taking a little too long with their push here. Eventually able to take out the ball carrier, but all that traveling to TriPPPeY, going all the way from green, all the way to sneaking towards front C to back tower just to receive no scope, and that's so frustrating because you take these right routes, you avoid these long sight lines, and in the end, you still just get taken out by a no scope.
I mean, the worst part about it was you had quantum, so if you get bodied, you're just quantum back to your original place, but you got headshotted. Like, what do you do? Formal doesn't miss. That's not fair sometimes, TriPPPeY, I'm sorry. But this ball's still in the hands of Optic Gaming, need just 10 points, and then Pznguin has to go. He feels the need to go, Bound picks up an easy triple, or a double. Maybe it's a triple, and FaZe Clan go all 4 down. Optic dominate, and I said dominate, Dave. Game 3 and take a 2-1 lead here in the elimination finals.
FaZe have their work cut out for them. I was trying to praise them before, saying that these FaZe boys, individually skill-wise, they're able to go toe-to-toe with Optic. They're able to win some of those individual fights, but some of the stars I'm looking for, and especially in the form of Suppressed, was not there exactly on game 3, was not able to match Optic, was not able to break through.
I think when you look at that game 3 and you compare it to games 1 and 2, games 1 and 2 felt like they were a little bit closer. Game 3 felt like a bit of a blowout. You look at the power weapon control, look at the power up control. It was pretty much all Optic in that game 3. At all times they had snipe, at all times it felt like they were in better position for the camouflages and whatnot. And that's what it looks like when Optic's getting power-ups. You might not be doing much with the camos, but at least they don't have them.
Yeah.
And when the second Optics start to get those power-ups, those power weapons, the second this series starts to get a little bit uglier, it appears.
Yeah, I mean, we even highlight a couple of those examples. You've seen Renegade off the start of each of these rounds, getting sniped, bringing it back towards tower, and being such a nuisance to kill. Whereas on the flip side, I feel like the limited amount of times we saw Sniper in the hands of FaZe, you saw a play like TriPPPeY had like a camo snipe and was actually taken out after just getting that one kill. Like you said, one is not enough when you have Sniper and camo.
Yeah, and it's just so tough. You're trying to find that opening pick, you're trying to create a staggered respawner, create a 4-on-3 opportunity, but the second he shoots that guy, he gets melted. It's great positioning from Optic to be close enough, but have different angles to be able to trade each other out. Optic's teamwork starting to figure itself out through the elimination bracket run they've on. And this is a product of the entirety of their LAN tournament here now. starting to figure it out along the way and play better and better every series. I believe that this is the best Optic we have seen, especially after that game 3, because this is the highest competition we have seen since them entering the elimination bracket. This FaZe team, I know that game might have looked easy for Optic, but there's not many teams that can do that to FaZe. And right now, they're gonna be backs against the wall, tournament life on the line, Fortress Assault in their hands.
You know, you talked about that entire game, how often Optic were able to get control of that sniper. If that same story happens here on Assault Fortress, I foresee Optic just closing the series out 3-1. However, if you can see someone like Suppressed, keep a hold of that sniper, do some work here, give his team a chance to play that neutral game, play it on even footing, FaZe can absolutely work their way back to a game 5.
Optic Assault, looking at the leaders for the KDs on this side, and it's Renegade and it's Bound, and it's probably the 2 last guys you want in your base on a map like Fortress to try and flush out, because these guys, we talked about how good they are at staying alive, like in places that they shouldn't. Well, Fortress is a map made for players like these 2 right here.
Yeah, they are going to be doing some nasty work over at that BR/Spiral side. Both these teams vying for control of that half the map. But I'm excited to see what happens with these snipes. That could set the tone for this game. We're gonna have to see what goes on with that initial OS, those initial snipes. Is anyone gonna be trying to make any initial push for a bomb arm? Or are we gonna try to set the tone of this game? Outslay for a little bit, get them on the back foot.
Optic Gaming entered the elimination bracket in round 1. They are now 1 game away from a grand finals appearance, a rematch against Shopify, someone they have been battling all off-season long for the #1 seed, and they want their revenge. They can taste that revenge, and 1 game away. Can you put FaZe Clan to bed? Can you send them packing and focus on a championship? Neutral Bomb Assault with 2 S7s and Overshield on the map, and FaZe Clan on the ropes right now. Let's see how Formal treats the kickoff of this map 4.
Renegade getting the first pick on the Falcated with the snipe. See where he decides to move from there, and that's gonna be 2 picks. That's also gonna be OS in the hands of Bound. First 2 kills going in favor of Optic. Can they make anything more of it?
Renegade not missing with snipe, hadn't been all weekend long right now, and that body shot onto the player and Suppressed had the FaZe Clan snipe. So FaZe Clan snipe now also in the hands of Optic Gaming. I believe it's Formal and Renegade, worst case scenario if you're FaZe Clan with snipes, and Formal is at your base. You have so much to worry about. These sight wins are so difficult. The bomb is going to be underneath, not being able to be played.
An interesting grab there from TriPPPeY or FaZe, because the bomb was already up to what, like let's say 15 seconds before resetting. They tossed a little bit out towards courtyard. I can't tell if they want this just to buy a little more time for their courtyard, or if they want this to reset in the bomb center, but I feel like Optic is fine with either one.
Yeah.
The fact that they just got a touch there means that they're bringing in, that's gonna be 2 down. That's Formal's go sign to go take over the VR side and spawn FaZe over at the elbow.
Formal was gonna snipe you Suppressed, but he'll let Renegade do it this time. He's gonna get the bomb. He's gonna be able to gain the lead here. I believe nobody on FaZe Clan looks like they're in any position. And we warned you, FaZe Clan, if you give them both snipes, bad things will happen.
Only 2 members from FaZe at the start of this game. Pznguin and TriPPPeY able to secure a kill. Just not able to find those angles. It's so tough with these sight lines. When you get stuck in your base, it can be so difficult. Able to eventually take out Formal and grab the snipe. Can they do anything with those last couple bullets though?
But it's a 1-0 lead. Everything from Optic getting to play from the lead from now on. We've seen how long some of these Fortress games have been throughout the offseason. Sometimes it ends 1-0, and now Optic Gaming get the comfort of playing with that lead. The pressure, building on FaZe Clan with their backs against the wall. This cannot feel good, and it definitely doesn't feel good that Lqgend just snuck away with this overshield.
Yeah, Lqgend bringing that OS towards the basement. Unfortunately, each one of those melees, but still doing such a great job on a killing spree. That's 3 down for FaZe. Almost all 4 down.
All 4.
That kill from Falcated. We'll see if that is enough pressure relief to stop this arm.
Yeah,
bomb is coming in, but not having Lqgend still alive there could be everything.
Optic won't have Lqgend in order to try and deal with these respawners, but they're doing a good job. They've already found 2 of them. One of them is going to have to kill this player backstairs. He's able to do just that. 4 go down again. Bound in the arming circle is going to guarantee a 2-0 lead. What you thought was going to be 12 minutes might be 3, Dave.
Yeah, I was going to say we're about to see a lot of Halo being played. We talked about games 3 and 4 going the distance. I don't see much distance in here. This might be a sprint, Wes.
Neither one of these feels like long games right now. Snipes are coming up. The saving grace may be some potential, but look at Renegade's position behind enemy lines. The Suppress now he's here. Suppress is going to have to hit a shot. You're going to have to hit a shot, but your tournament's going to get over. Renegade can't quite finish him yet. Oh, no, shots were missed, and Renegade will have the FaZe Clan snipe once again on their backstairs.
Gonna be sniping, and yes, you ideally would like the BR or Armory side of the map, but same time, if you have a sniper, just as good. Takes out one base. They're pushing in for the killing blow here. 1 or 2 more deaths here from FaZe could spell disaster for the final arm.
Oh, they're just not missing at this point. The flow state is occurring. Bomb in the arm circle, forced to drop it, and it's the other sniper, Lqgend, right now.
But now they got the spawns they want. So they're happy to trade out a couple kills there. Optic now have Spiral side, and they just have to let a couple kills flow in, especially from Brown,
well, 2 dead
from tower side, and then they can start the arm. Pznguin panicking, fighting against his former teammate.
Oh my God.
Renegade clutches it up and starts the arm.
That's game. That's game. That's series. That's match. Go home, FaZe. Optic Gaming. Oh, the nade comes through, but Bound is there, and they let him hear about it. Optic Gaming, and the most impressive Fortress bomb I have ever watched, will be on their way to the grand finals. From elimination bracket round 1 to the grand finals. A date with Destiny, and Shopify Rebellion is up next.
They just outslayed so hard right there. That game was less than 5 minutes. I saw 42 kills on Optic side. Every single member on FaZe combined, they had, I want to say it was 13 kills. 13 kills to 42 kills. Just a massive outslaying. Getting 3 arms. It's the first time I've seen them really chirp this weekend.
Yeah.
Optic got humbled early on in the event. Worked their way brick by brick through this lower bracket and made their way all the way to the grand finals where they'll be facing off against Shopify Rebellion.
They believe. You can tell they believe. They're all of a sudden starting to play like Optic Gaming is supposed to play. Those last 2 games were absolute slaughters, and that was the most impressive way to enter into a grand finals from the elimination bracket that I have ever seen. FaZe Clan going to be left kicking their feet a little bit, wanting to play it a little bit better, but how hard is it to stop this Optic train now that it has gone from elimination bracket round 1 all the way to this point? And when you started seeing them in oddball and in assault, that is insane.
Taking a look at those kills. 14 kills total there for FaZe.
And it's everybody on Optic.
42 for Optic.
It's everybody. It's not just one.
Every single player on that roster.
It was perfect.
6.0 KD is the lowest.
Lqgend, you got to step it up, bud. It was perfect. It was perfect. That's textbook Fortress bomb. I mean, it's obviously to say when you get both snipes and every overshield, like, game's a lot easier, but
winning every single challenge.
They're hitting every shot.
So many times, Renegade just in that last shot fight, taking out one of those members. Times where I expected, and you need someone like FaZe to ice up. They're just falling just slightly short. So huge kudos out to Optic. Starting this tournament with a lot of questions. People being curious, are they the real deal? Well, we got a finals match to find out, Wes. They're looking good to me.
I think if I'm Shopify, I'm watching that and I'm wishing it would have been a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Okay, let's lock in. The battle of the Titans that everybody wanted coming into this weekend. You wanted a grand finals with Shopify Rebellion and Optic Gaming. Guess what? You get a finals with Shopify Rebellion and Optic Gaming. And if we've seen anything between these two when they play in every single series, it feels like it goes to game 5. It goes to game 11. We might have 2 best of 7s. Ladies and gentlemen, grab your popcorn, get a beer, sit back. It's going to be one hell of a show. I can't wait to be a fan in these stands watching this thing go down.
No, we got some incredible games in front of us. And if Optic are playing anything like that, there could even be a reset. Who knows? I don't want to predict it too early, but the way that they're playing, they're going to be a difficult squad to beat.
All right, Dave, it's been a pleasure all weekend. You're an absolute legend. It's an honor. We're signing out. I'm throwing this back up to LVP on the desk and the boys to crush this one last death segment, and let's get this grand finals underway here as soon as possible.